when you don't own your own greatness, you get in your own way.
Kelly, Ryan, thank you so much for joining me here today. I have a special co-host, Ryan Foran from Arcadia Unified, and we are joined by Kelly, and we're going to be talking about imposter syndrome today. But before we jump into that, if we could take just a second, introduce yourselves, a little bit about your background, what got you here?
You want to go first?
No, you ladies first.
Thank you. My name is Kelly Wylie. I'm the Executive Director of Public Affairs, Santa Clara County Office of Education. I have been at this since 1989. And can I tell you that even with that many years, the imposter syndrome is still real. Super real.
And I'll add to her bio, and a total rock star in the field.
Yeah.
That's done so much for us, Kalispera, and the whole crew. So
You're very kind.
Yeah,
Thank you.
She was very short with all of that.
It's true.
Very humble.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very humble. But
Kelly is amazing. Also been helping me through my APR process. Like we've been studying together and all of that stuff too. She's a rock star and
let's talk more about that.
And a friend on that. But yeah, no, she is way more than she just said. But really appreciate everything you do.
Thank you. Right back at you.
Ryan, what about you?
Matthew Jennings, right-hand man.
Yeah, right.
Peachjar CEO, and no, happy to be here. I love doing these with you. And Arcadia Unified School District, been there 10 years, former news reporter, host a school PR podcast with you, and an avid watcher of Peachjar Extra Credit.
Hey,
what'd you report?
Oh, I did sports.
Me too.
And then I did news. Yeah,
I started as a sports reporter.
Yeah. Very cool. I knew I liked you. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's cool. It's a small world. Most of us here at this conference, 60-70% of us were journalists before making the because we're storytellers. We were journalists telling stories, and now we're still telling them. We're just doing them for school districts. Yeah, exactly.
But I have to say, it's much better on this side.
Yes. I don't miss it.
Get back is amazing. In that we, I talk about it all the time. Like we get so much more back than just a paycheck. You give it back to the community in such a wonderful way through the support of public education. And so we're happy to have all you journalists, that's for sure.
How many car chases can you really cover?
Yeah, right.
Really?
Well, you just bring a really interesting lens to the professional storytelling. And so those of us that didn't come from that world always get to learn a lot from you. And I really appreciate that. So that's cool. All right, so let's jump into this. Imposter syndrome. Talk to me a little bit about what that is, what that means. Somebody that might be feeling that, maybe not even have the ability to title what that feeling is for them. Walk me through what this is.
So first want to start, I am not a therapist. I am a recovering journalist.
Which may qualify you, actually.
To some degree, yes. And am a public relations professional. So I am not a therapist. I just want to put that out there first and foremost. But imposter syndrome is that just paralyzing feeling of I'm not good enough. I don't have the right information. There's somebody more qualified than me to do this. And it can be quite, like I said, quite paralyzing moving forward.
Yeah, okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Think of the glasses with the fake nose, eyebrows, and mustache.
This is interesting because when I saw this on the agenda for Kalispera this year, where we're all at, I never seen a session like this, so I was very intrigued. Couldn't attend, so Matthew asked if I could be. I said yes, because I'm interested to learn about all this too, because I've never seen anything talked about so publicly at a conference like this, and so I'm intrigued to learn more myself.
So ironically, they were actually the proposal that myself and my co-presenter put together, and then there was another proposal. So there were two on the same, and they said, "You're so similar. Can you combine them?" And so it's real. Like
it's a thing.
I thought it was me, but no, they're like, no.
No, you know what? I've heard that. I've heard that from other people at conferences and past, and even at the national level. People just feel, and I find it interesting that you said you've been doing this since 1989, and you still have those feelings sometimes, because I found it to be a lot of times that people new to the profession, just feel like, I don't belong in this space. And I think sometimes too, I know that when I joined Kalispera, when I first joined Kalispera, and I should give a couple of shout outs here. You've got like people like Music Watson in the room, and you've got Kendra Britt in the room, and you Dan Thigpen and
giants,
right? And you're like, I'm not that, right? And I'm not worthy, right? Like, and it can get you. And then, fast forward, that first Calsper conference, even those names that I just referenced, like just quickly adopted me and other new people to the profession, and then continued to help me throughout the rest of my career. And then, you find out that, they're just regular people as well. And they have their own self-doubts sometimes. But for me, it was really important to be in those spaces and understand, like, no, I do belong here. I do have my own voice. I do bring my own skills to the table, and I have a lot to learn.
And I think that comparison is natural, human, right? But I think that's probably one of the biggest contributors to having that I don't measure.
Yeah.
There's technically 5 components or 5 identifiers of imposter syndrome.
Okay.
But that comparison, although it's not named, that's, I think, the strongest one. So the 5 happen to be perfectionist, and that's me 100%. And then hand in hand with perfectionist is the expert, so that you've got to have all of the information and be the person, right?
Yeah.
The natural genius, so that's the person that's really involved in the how and the when.
Okay.
And then you've got your soloist. Nope, I got this. Leave me alone. Just let me be, right? And then finally the superhero. So that's the person, or superhuman. That's the person that doesn't feel that they're showing their worth unless they're taking all the things on.
Yeah. That might be me.
Yeah. What do you identify with?
Yeah.
They ebb and flow. It's a fluid.
Okay.
But
I mean, I think that's what you said earlier is it's human nature. We all do that. We all compare to the next person to see where we fit, where we need to go, where we're lacking. So I think those comparisons are naturally there. That's where our baseline starting point is, and that's where you start to get in trouble. But you need to realize, like you mentioned all those rock stars, and it's true, but they all started in kindergarten too, just like us.
Yeah.
So it's having that, I guess, it's knowing to educate yourself that it's okay to be where you're at. You have to start somewhere, and you'll get to there. You've done it with other things in your life, whether it's learning to walk, whatever the million things you've done in your life is, playing sports or going through school. You get better, you get smarter. But I guess it's, you're put in a competitive field. We're all very competitive, and just having that perspective of it's okay to not be here. And navigating through that. But I'm assuming the point is that can get taxing and tough on your mental health and bring you down. You start to get self-doubt, and your confidence is gone, and that's where the problems start. Right,
absolutely. And that paralyzing factor that we were talking about, that when you don't own your own greatness, you get in your own way. So some of the things that we talked about in the session, that particularly to combat or maybe help you over the hurdle. I don't know if you ever combat it, but help yourself over the hurdle of the imposter syndrome is all stuff that you go, well, duh, but you need to hear it again, time and time again, right? Like keep that positive self-talk going. We actually, I'm going to date myself. We showed Stuart Smalley.
Oh, yes. Oh my, that's a throwback.
Right?
Yes.
So do you know his tagline? Do you remember what his is?
No.
No. I'll remember it as soon as you say it.
And gosh darn it, people like me.
Yes.
I'm smart. I'm smart. I'm attractive, and gosh darn it, people like me.
Yeah.
So that self-talk, putting together your squad.
Okay.
Right? You need to have somebody who will anchor you. You need to have somebody who will cheerlead for you. You need to have that person that's just going to keep it real with you all the time.
Yeah.
So putting together your squad will definitely help through the, and they're not people that you're going to run up to and be like, Ryan, be my cheerleader. They're
Well, Matthew has asked me that a few times, actually. I can let you in on that.
Yeah, but they're the people that you know that you can go shoulder tap.
Yep.
Right?
And they're going to show up for you.
Right, exactly.
Yep.
The difficult thing about our industry is we deal a lot with the crisis communication, the negative, and we're trying to put out a lot of fires. So we're kind of saturated. Our lens is skewed towards the negative. And so that kind of weighs on you faster because you're dealing with, hey, this just happened. A student did this. There's a fight on campus and this is not going well. So that turns into your day. There's people here at this conference who are in sessions. I heard 3 of them today pulled out because crisis on campus. So their lens all day has been negativity. This person's fighting. Mom is mad at the principal, this and that. So it is tough for us not to realize that while we deal in the negativity for the most part, there's 95% of the people, 99 that are thrilled with us that we don't hear from, but our lens is skewed because that is the nature of our work. So that's where it can be draining, and it's good to have some realization that this is happening, this is what it is, and there's way more positives out there that you can focus on, that you need to, instead of letting all the negativity that we have to go through get to us.
And the negative talk is oftentimes, for whatever reason, so much easier to believe than the positive self-talk. So yes.
And there's so much psychology. I was listening to some podcasts recently about, there's psychologists talking about negative talk versus self-talk and what's actually more powerful. Is it not doing the negative talk, or is it doing the positive talk? And it was very interesting. I'm trying to figure out how he phrased it, but removing the negative talk is, I think, powerful. But to his point, it's almost more powerful to reinforce yourself with positive talk because that gets, embedded within you, and that's kind of will mold your thoughts. So if you can do both of those, removing the negative, and to your point, human nature is the negative comes out. But if you can remove negative, add positive, you're in a much better space, but it's not always easy to do.
What were some of the other things that came out of the session that you do?
So again, not a therapist, but we had folks identify some of those triggers. So to stop and think about when that imposter syndrome starts to creep in. What are you feeling? How does it make you behave? What is your knee-jerk natural reaction? And then we had them flip that narrative. So we had them identify 3 to 5 things that they do well. So can you, off the top of your head, quickly name 3 to 5 things you do well?
I could.
Okay. So when you are thinking about, those things, flip that. And so how do you know you're good at them? Obviously, imposter syndrome does not come in when you name those things. You're like, I got this. I can do this in my sleep. So again, what are the feelings? What are the behaviors? What are the natural reactions when you're doing those things? And then your point
is so good, though. When we do interviews with our interns, we used to always ask them, give me two negatives, 2 positives. And they would list 8 negatives and barely get 1 positive out. And I just feel like that is a biological thing that is within us. You remember the shot you missed, not the shot you made. That's the one that you wake up nightmares 20 years later.
I could have, would have, should have.
And so, but if you can have the skills to reframe that, oh my goodness, that's gonna be a much better life.
What else came out of the session, Kelly?
A ton of, like you said at the beginning, we're not alone in this. And ironically, even putting together that imposter syndrome session gave me imposter syndrome. So
were you asking yourself, like, am I qualified?
100%. Yes, 100%.
Wow. I mean, it's your own personal experience, right? I mean, nothing more qualified than that. And then interesting to know that when you submitted the session, there was another session submitted on the same thing.
Right.
And you teamed up on that. I mean, that just goes to show that it is a very real thing. And I know that it's not limited to just our profession. You can talk to anybody at any level, even in their careers. And it could be anything. I know that it's a very real fear that people can't have. So then leaning into your successes, I know for me, like anytime I kind of felt like stuff was creeping in on me, leaning in on the things that I do well and some of the successes that I've had, that just kind of affirms to me positively that hey, I'm not a perfect person in every way. I know I have all the right answers at all the times, but I do pretty good. I've got pretty good intuition, and I come out okay. That's always kind of helped me. So just maybe those positive affirmations. Did anybody talk specifically about Are you writing those out? Are you putting those?
That was my
on
question.
your-
That's a great
on
question.
your-
Like,
on your
what's the best way to do
computer,
that?
Yeah.
I'm gonna say it's personal,
Okay.
right? We have folks that live digitally, like everything goes on the phone or goes on the computer, right? We have those that are just deep thinkers and just need to have that moment with themselves. I'm a pen to paper girl myself,
Yeah.
but I think that it's personal.
Okay.
One of the other things that we named was to try and, again, not do the comparisons, not
Is there anything?
all the hard stuff.
Be yourself. Be
Right.
unique. Like maybe
Give yourself
aspire
grace,
to
too.
learn. Yeah.
Mhm.
To be good at something as somebody else, but be yourself too.
Right.
Be true to yourself and who you are and where you're at.
Be forgiving, be loving.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Let me play Matthew's typical role of devil's advocate here while we're on the therapy couch.
Right?
So, is there something though? I mean, maybe the argument on the other side, I don't think there's a big argument, but that some of those things where you're competitive, you feel insecure, drive you to be more ambitious to get to a certain point. Like the kid that couldn't shoot baskets, Michael Jordan famously didn't make
Right.
the varsity team as a freshman, and he got so motivated. He used to make up, that people slandered him and talked trash to him so he would get motivated and perform better. Is there some positives, though, to not thinking you're the greatest person in the world and having to work and be more ambitious? Like, there's got to be something
Maybe as
to
long as
being
it's not
resilient to
paralyzing.
Right.
Is there some balance of that?
Yeah, the drive for sure, right? And it's going to be different in each of us.
Yep.
I mean, like you said, the three of us are all competitive people. So, but I would caution that it's going to be a thin line between that go drive competitor and that superhuman. I have to take on all the things to be the best thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I identify with that. What else came out of the session? Anything else that came out of the session that was interesting?
It did feel like a therapy session.
I'm sure it did. I'm sure people left there feeling like it was very much like a healing.
It's probably
session.
very cathartic just to speak about it.
To
And
hear others.
that's why the
Yep.
greatest thing about this conference, as we know, is just having empathy and sharing with each other, with all people that we can relate to our job specifically. So whether there are a million answers or not, just being able to talk about it with people that understand it is probably helpful in itself.
Yeah, we got a lot of thank you. That was amazing. And not to know that I was alone. And even hearing that it was like, oh, great, thanks. Like we still kind of walked away with, we really got something out of that. That it just,
So who is it more beneficial for? You as the speaker or the attendees?
Yeah,
Probably both,
that's
though, right?
debatable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I think that goes to any presentation. There's a huge benefit to teaching and sharing your knowledge anyway. A lot to be learned there, and getting up and at these conferences. We are at the CalSPR conference, the annual conference here in the state capital of Sacramento, and it's always difficult as a professional communicator to stand up in a room full of professional communicators and teach anything.
Yeah.
So
Talk about being judged.
Yeah, you talk about imposter syndrome, right?
Yeah.
Like that can be
Right.
really tricky.
Yeah.
But you're going to get something out of it. So I can imagine that people really left there like feeling like that was a very healing session. So
and validated.
invalidated. Yeah. Very, very cool. Anything else that you want to share just kind of over this topic as you help prepare, or as you did prepare for the presentation and then during the presentation? Anything else that kind of stands out?
I did stumble across a $15 purchase on Amazon.
Okay.
It's a very short read book called Own Your Own Greatness. Own Your Greatness. It's a husband and wife team. They are therapists.
Oh,
So,
there you go.
and a lot of the activities that were in that book we borrowed and put our twist on it, so it met our audience. So I mean, there's a lot of tips out there. There's didn't read like a self-help
Okay. Yeah.
book. That's not my jam.
Yeah.
Maybe for somebody else, but that's not
Yeah.
my jam.
More informational.
Yeah, exactly.
Some
And
practical tips.
right. It was like let's identify those 5
Areas.
right, and then let's talk about some of the triggers and how you identify them, and that's where the self-help kind of stopped. It was more of a own it,
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, well, as we, I know we are preparing for the awards gala tonight. We got a really big night ahead of us tonight. So I don't want to keep you any longer than I can. I know you're very gracious with your time already, just sitting and hanging out with us. I really appreciate
My pleasure.
it.
Thank you.
Any last minute thoughts, tips, tricks you want to share?
I'm going to say this tongue in cheek because it's so much easier to say than to do. But don't compare yourself to other people, right? Yeah. And those giants that we named, like Ryan said, they still do all the same things we do on the daily. So give yourself grace.
I love that. Ryan, did you learn anything?
I did. I think it is an interesting topic, and it goes to what we've been talking about in schools in general to mental health. Like we've
100%.
all been concentrating on helping students and staff with mental health. But you got to take care of yourself, give yourself the oxygen mask so you can, help others. So it is important, and this is an amazing job, but it can be stressful. We do get a lot of the negatives. So it's having those checks and balances and some of those resources and being able to go to a session that you provided people, which I think they probably love because now they do feel like there's other people, they can talk to people about it. So I think it's important recognizing it and then having some tools to cope with it. So I think you did a great service. So
thank you.
On behalf of everyone, thank you. Yeah, for
thank
doing
you.
it.
Yeah, really, truly. And look, y'all are doing a great job out there. You know it. Everybody else around you knows it. If you feel like you need to learn or grow in a certain area, find someone that can help you learn. Find someone that can teach you that. Reach out to a colleague, reach out to a peer.
Establish your squad.
Establish your squad. Exactly what I was going to say. Like Kelly said, establish your squad. So that's perfect. You are not alone. Absolutely. And if you ever feel that way, just reach back out to that squad. Well, I hope you like this. Be sure to like, share, comment, and follow for more. I'm happy to answer any questions. I know Kelly would take your call. She always takes mine, which is amazing.
I will.
So
that is
yeah,
nice of you.
If you want to take, this any further, be sure to check out that book Kelly referenced, Lean Into Your Network. You can reach out to us. Stay tuned. We got a lot more Peachjar Extra Credit coming your way. That's it for now. We'll see you.